I recently got to know that my 6-year-old son isn't mine and my wife has been cheating on me with my brother-in-law for the last 10 years. So I did what I had to do. I, 38M, have been married to Barbara, 36F, for 10 years. We met during our sophomore year in college. I was a business major and she was studying psychology. We first crossed paths at a mutual friend's party. I remember being instantly drawn to her vibrant laugh and the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her passions. We started dating a few weeks later and quickly became inseparable. Our college years were filled with late-night study sessions, weekend road trips, and dreams of our future together. We both came from small towns and bonded over our shared experiences and ambitions. After graduation, we moved to the city to pursue our careers. I landed a job at a marketing firm, while Barbara started working at a local counseling center. We dated for 4 years before deciding to get married. Our wedding was a small, intimate affair in Barbara's parents' backyard. It was a perfect day. The sun was shining, our families were beaming, and I felt like the luckiest man alive. We honeymooned in Greece, spending 2 blissful weeks exploring ancient ruins and lounging on beautiful beaches. After returning home, we settled into married life. Our relationship seemed perfect. We rarely fought, enjoyed each other's company, and had similar goals in life. We both wanted kids, but agreed to wait a few years to focus on our careers first. Barbara was climbing the ladder at her counseling center, and I had just received a promotion at my firm. During those early years of marriage, we were busy building our life together. We bought our first home, a cozy 2-bedroom house with a small backyard. We spent weekends painting walls, planting a garden, and making it our own. We traveled when we could, taking trips to explore new cities and countries. Life was good, and I felt like we were living the dream we had talked about in college. About 7 years into our marriage, Barbara got pregnant. We had been trying for a baby for almost a year at that point, so when she showed me the positive pregnancy test, I was over the moon. I immediately started planning the nursery, reading parenting books, and dreaming about all the things I would teach our child. The pregnancy went smoothly. Barbara glowed, and I doted on her, making late-night runs for her cravings and massaging her swollen feet. We found out we were having a boy and decided to name him Thomas, after my grandfather. We called him Tommy for short. Tommy was born on a warm spring day. Holding him for the first time, I felt a love I had never experienced before. He was perfect. 10 tiny fingers, 10 tiny toes, and a tuft of dark hair just like mine. Or so I thought. As Tommy grew, he quickly became the center of our world. I loved being a dad and thought I was pretty good at it too. I took paternity leave to help during those first few weeks, learning to change diapers, warm bottles, and soothe a crying baby. As he got older, I cherished every milestone, his first smile, first words, first steps. I taught him to ride a bike, coached his t-ball team, and read him bedtime stories every night. Last month, Tommy had his 6th birthday party. We invited family and friends to celebrate at a local park. Barbara's brother, Andrew, 40M, and his wife, Sarah, 38F, were among the guests. Andrew and I used to be close. We'd go fishing, watch sports, and grab beers together often. But over the past few years, he started becoming distant. I figured he was just busy with work and his own family. At the party, I noticed Andrew seemed really attentive towards Tommy. He was constantly playing with him, taking photos, and even teared up a bit when Tommy blew out his candles. I thought it was sweet that he cared so much about his nephew. Looking back, I realized there were probably signs I should have noticed, but hindsight is 20/20. A week after the party, I was cleaning out our home office. Barbara had been asking me to organize it for months, so I finally decided to tackle the project. As I was sorting through old papers and books, I came across an old box of Barbara's stuff. I wasn't snooping, just organizing things. But a folder caught my eye. It had Tommy's name on it. Curious, I opened it. Inside were medical documents, including Tommy's birth certificate and some DNA test results. My heart stopped when I saw the results. They showed that Andrew was Tommy's biological father, not me. I couldn't believe my eyes. I read the papers over and over, hoping I was mistaken. But there it was, clear as day. I sat there for what felt like hours, my mind racing. How could this be possible? When did Barbara and Andrew? How long had this been going on? I felt sick to my stomach, my whole world crumbling around me. When Barbara got home that evening, I confronted her. At first, she tried to deny it, saying I must have misunderstood the papers, but when I showed her the DNA results, she broke down. She admitted to having an affair with Andrew for the past 8 years. It started a year before our wedding, at her bachelorette party of all places. She swore it ended when she got pregnant, but the damage was already done. I was devastated. Not only had my wife been cheating on me for most of our marriage, but the child I loved and raised wasn't even mine. I felt like my whole life was a lie. Every memory, every moment I thought we shared as a family was tainted. Barbara begged me to forgive her, saying she truly loved me and that it was just a mistake. But I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I left that night and stayed at a hotel. I couldn't bear to be in the same house as her. The next day, I called Andrew. He confirmed everything Barbara had said. He apologized profusely, saying he never meant for things to go this far. But his words meant nothing to me. How could he do this to me? To his own wife? To Tommy? I've been staying with my parents for the past week, trying to process everything. My mom has been cooking all my favorite childhood meals, trying to comfort me, while my dad offers awkward pats on the back and promises that everything will be okay. But how can it be? Barbara keeps calling and texting, pleading for another chance. She says she'll do anything to make it right, but I don't think I can ever trust her again. How can I believe anything she says when she's been lying to me for so long? I've contacted a divorce lawyer and am planning to file for divorce next week. Here's where I might be the asshole. I told Barbara I want nothing to do with Tommy anymore. I know it's not his fault, and I do love him, but every time I think about him now, all I can see is the betrayal. Barbara says I'm being cruel and punishing an innocent child. My parents think I should try to work things out for Tommy's sake. They keep reminding me that I'm the only father he's ever known. But I just can't imagine raising another man's child, especially when that man is my wife's brother. Every time I close my eyes, I see Andrew holding Tommy at the birthday party, and it makes me sick. How can I look at Tommy and not see the product of my wife's infidelity? So, Reddit, aita, for wanting to divorce my wife and cut ties with the child I thought was mine. Am I letting my anger and hurt cloud my judgment? Or am I justified in wanting a clean break from this whole situation? Edit. Thank you all for your responses. I'm overwhelmed by the support and advice. To clarify a few things. 1. Yes, I'm sure the DNA test is accurate. I had another one done privately to confirm. 2. I haven't told Tommy anything yet. He's still too young to understand. 3. I'm not seeking any form of revenge. I just want to move on with my life. I'll post an update when I have more news. Update 1. It's been about a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. I wanted to give an update on the situation, and thank everyone for their support and advice. It really helped me during this difficult time. I've read every comment, and while I couldn't respond to all of them, I appreciate each one. As I mentioned in my original post, I filed for divorce. The process is underway, but it's been challenging. Barbara initially contested the divorce, claiming that we could work things out. She even suggested couples therapy, but I refused. I can't imagine ever trusting her again after such a long-term betrayal. My lawyer advised me to limit communication with Barbara to only essential matters regarding the divorce. It's been hard, especially when she tries to bring up Tommy, but I'm sticking to it. Every time I see her name pop up on my phone, my stomach churns. I've had to block her on social media because seeing her posts about our family was too painful. Speaking of Tommy, that's been the most difficult part of all this. I haven't seen him since I left the house. Barbara keeps sending me photos and videos of him, telling me how much he misses me. It breaks my heart. But I know seeing him would only make things more complicated. I miss him terribly. His laugh, the way he'd crawl into bed with us on Sunday mornings, even the mess he'd make while eating spaghetti. But every time I think about him, I'm reminded of the betrayal. I've been seeing a therapist to help me process everything. It's been helpful to have someone to talk to who isn't directly involved in the situation. They've been helping me work through my feelings of anger, betrayal, and loss. We've been exploring my childhood and past relationships to understand why this betrayal has hit me so hard. It's bringing up a lot of painful memories, but I know it's necessary for healing. As for Andrew, he tried to reach out to me several times. I ignored his calls and messages at first, but eventually I agreed to meet him in person. It was a tense meeting at a local coffee shop. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, unkempt beard. He apologized again and tried to explain himself, saying he never meant to hurt me and that the affair with Barbara just happened. I didn't buy it. How does an 8-year affair just happen? I told him I never wanted to see or hear from him again. As I left, he called after me, saying he hoped one day I could forgive him. I doubt that day will ever come. On the legal front, my lawyer has been working on the divorce settlement. We're pushing for a clean break, with Barbara keeping the house and me getting a fair share of our other assets. The tricky part is that Barbara is fighting for me to pay child support for Tommy. My lawyer says I might be on the hook for it, since I've been acting as his father for the past 6 years, regardless of biology. We're still figuring out how to handle that. It feels unfair to have to pay for a child that isn't mine, but I also feel guilty about potentially leaving Tommy without support. I've moved out of my parents' house and into a small apartment. It's been an adjustment living on my own after so many years, but it's also been freeing in a way. I'm slowly starting to rebuild my life. I've been redecorating the apartment, trying to make it feel like home, but it's hard not to think about the life I thought I had, the house we bought together, the future we planned. Work has been a welcome distraction. I threw myself into my job, taking on extra projects to keep my mind occupied. My boss has been understanding of the situation and has given me some flexibility with my schedule for lawyer meetings and therapy appointments. Some days, it's hard to focus, but mostly I'm grateful for the routine and the sense of normalcy it provides. One unexpected development is that Sarah, Andrew's wife, reached out to me. Apparently, she had no idea about the affair until recently. She's devastated and is also filing for divorce. We've talked a few times, mostly commiserating over our shared betrayal. It's been nice to have someone who understands exactly what I'm going through. We've met for coffee a couple of times, sharing our stories and offering each other support. It's a small comfort in this whole mess. My friends have been incredibly supportive. They've been checking in on me, inviting me out for drinks or to watch games. It's been good to have distractions and reminders that there are still good people in my life. Some nights, when the loneliness hits hard, I'm grateful for their late-night texts and calls. That's where things stand for now. The divorce is moving forward, albeit slowly. I'm taking things one day at a time and trying to focus on healing and moving forward. Some days are better than others. There are moments when I feel like I'm making progress, and others when the pain feels as fresh as the day I found out. But I'm trying to stay hopeful about the future, even if I can't quite see what that future looks like yet. I'll post another update when there are significant developments. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It means more than you know. Update 2. It's been about 3 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some recent developments. The divorce is finally nearing completion. After much back and forth, we've reached a settlement agreement. As mentioned before, Barbara is keeping the house. We've divided our other assets fairly evenly. The child support issue was contentious, but in the end, I agreed to pay a reduced amount for a limited time. My lawyer advised that this was likely the best outcome I could hope for, given the circumstances. It still feels unfair, but I'm trying to focus on moving forward rather than dwelling on the injustice of it all. One of the hardest parts of this process has been dealing with Tommy. I finally agreed to see him about a month ago. It was a supervised visit, with Barbara present. Seeing him again was emotionally overwhelming. He ran to me as soon as he saw me, wrapping his little arms around my legs. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed. But then, reality came crashing back. Tommy was confused about why I hadn't been around and kept asking when I was coming home. I tried to explain in simple terms that I wouldn't be living with them anymore, but that I still cared about him. I'm not sure how much he understood. His eyes filled with tears, and he begged me to come back. It took everything in me not to break down right there. After that visit, I've been seeing Tommy every other weekend. It's been difficult, but I'm trying to maintain a relationship with him. He's innocent in all of this, and despite the circumstances of his birth, I still care for him deeply. We've been going to the park, playing his favorite board games, and reading stories together. It's bittersweet. I cherish these moments, but they're always tinged with the knowledge that he's not really mine. I've made it clear to Barbara that I don't want to be legally recognized as Tommy's father. We're still working out the details of what my role in his life will be going forward. It's a delicate balance. I don't want to abandon him, but I also need to protect myself emotionally. Andrew has respected my wish for no contact. I heard through mutual friends that he and Sarah are also in the process of divorcing. Part of me feels a bit of schadenfreude about that, but mostly, I just feel sad for everyone involved, especially the kids. I can't help but wonder how this will affect Tommy in the long run. On a more positive note, I've started to reconnect with old friends and even made some new ones. I joined a local sports league and have been spending more time outdoors. It's been good for me to get out of my head and be around people who don't know about my situation. I've been playing soccer twice a week, and the physical exertion has been a great outlet for my emotions. I've also started volunteering at a local animal shelter on weekends when I don't have Tommy. It's been therapeutic to focus on caring for creatures that need help. There's something comforting about the unconditional love of animals. I'm even considering adopting a dog once I'm more settled. Work continues to be a positive aspect of my life. I recently got a promotion, which has been a welcome distraction and a boost to my self-esteem. My coworkers have been supportive, though I've kept the details of my personal life private. The new responsibilities have been challenging, but I welcome the opportunity to focus on something other than my personal problems. I've also started dating again, very casually. Nothing serious, just coffee dates here and there. It's been nice to remember that there are good, honest people out there. I'm not ready for a serious relationship yet, but it's helping me regain some confidence. It's strange to be back in the dating world after so many years, but also exciting in a way. As for Barbara, we only communicate about Tommy and finalizing the divorce. She's still hopeful that we might reconcile someday, but I've made it clear that's not going to happen. The trust is completely broken, and I can't imagine ever being able to repair it. Sometimes I catch myself missing the life we had, but then I remind myself that it was all based on a lie. Looking back on the past few months, I can see how far I've come. There are still days when the anger and hurt feel overwhelming, but they're becoming less frequent. I'm focusing on building a new life for myself, one day at a time. I've started journaling, which has been helpful in processing my emotions and tracking my progress. The divorce should be finalized within the next few weeks. Once that's done, I'm planning to take a solo trip somewhere, maybe hiking in the mountains or a beach getaway. I think some time alone to reflect and reset will do me good. That's all for now. Thanks again for all the support and advice. It's been a tough journey, but I'm starting to see light at the end of the tunnel.